Today is the first day of spring. It's also the first day that Bruce and I have been able to make another video. The last video we did was 3 weeks ago. Thank you, YouTube, for continuing to support us and going along with us on this journey. The reason why we haven't been able to make a video lately is because we both got the flu. In fact, Papa Bruce was in the hospital for 3 days with it. And we weren't sick this whole 3 weeks, but it's taken us this much time to get our strength back. So today we're starting spring, and I'm going to be doing a pumpkin. I'm going to process this pumpkin. Now, I bought this pumpkin just before Halloween, so that was October. So all of November, December, January, February, it's at least 4 months old, and I was gonna just keep it as an experiment to see how long I could keep this pumpkin, because pumpkin is one of those perfect things to grow on the homestead. It provides so many useful things, and it can last a long time. Now, just before we got sick, I noticed a little spot about this big where it had started going bad. So that was a good three months that I had saved it anyway, just in the floor of my kitchen. Well, since the little spot came on, it has progressed to a big spot, and I'll show you that. So there's quite a bit of decay on this pumpkin now. But the rest of it is still good and solid, and so I'm just going to cut it down and show you what to do with this pumpkin. And then later I'm going to make pumpkin soup, cream of pumpkin soup. And if you've never had it, it is delicious. Okay, I've washed it off, and I'm going to make my first cut. With this bad spot in it, that's going to give me a good toe hold. As I'm cutting this pumpkin, you can see where the bad part is. This is nice and yellow and firm. This right here is mushy and white. Oh, looky there, it even separates itself off from the good part. But all you do when you come to a bad part like that is just cut it out. Cut all around. Make sure your margins are good. You've got good clean margins. There we go, good clean margins. The rest of it's solid and hard and has a pretty color to it. So you won't have any trouble determining which part is good and which part is not good. This is the waste that we're going to just chop up and put in our compost pit. And all of this is good pumpkin. So out of that big old pumpkin, even though it's 4 months old and started to decay in spots, we got all of this good product here. We finished cutting up the pumpkin now. Mr. Bruce helped me, and I thank you, darling. If I had my chickens right now, but we don't have our chickens yet, I would give that to the chickens and they would go to town. We have taken that roughage off of the seeds, and we've got a 2-cup cottage cheese dish here full of seeds. And what am I going to do with these seeds? I'm going to pull out the plumpest ones, and we are going to save those for planting. And if somebody would like seeds, be sure and leave it in the comments below, and I'll be glad to send you a package of seeds. Some of them we're going to roast. We're going to salt and roast, and then we'll have those for snacks. We'll give our dog some of them because pumpkin seeds is a natural wormer. So if you have any idea that your dog might have worms, give them some pumpkin seed. This is what you want to do, is just chunk up your pumpkin into little cubes, and then wash them off. And I'm going to be I'm going to cook this much tonight to make soup with, and the rest of it I'm going to blanch, and I'm going to dry some of it, because once it's dried, you can put it in a jar and keep it for a long time. And then anytime you want pumpkin soup or pumpkin bread, just re-soak them, cook them up, and you're ready to go.
Pumpkin empanadas?
Yeah, my favorite dessert is pumpkin empanadas. And I did a video on pumpkin empanadas. So go look through my video and find the recipe for pumpkin empanadas. They are delicious. And of course everybody likes pumpkin bread and everybody likes pumpkin pie. So there's lots of things to do with pumpkin. You can do it sweet or savory. Okay, here's a pan full of pumpkin that I'm going to cook down and make soup with. Okay, here's our final yield. 4 quarts that I'm going to cook for soup, 2 cups of seeds, and then this is 6 maybe 8 quarts of things that I'm going to dry. And the way that you dry them is you just take your dehydrator tray and spread them out on the dehydrator tray as much as it takes, and then just turn it on. You could just go ahead and blanch them and put them in the freezer. Put them in freezer bags and label it that it's pumpkin, blanched pumpkin, ready to go. Well, I changed my mind. I filled my dehydrator trays and I only have 3. So they're full, 1 layer deep. I still had this many pumpkin chunks left over. So I decided to change my mind, because I can do that. I'm going to cook it down and just make pumpkin puree with it. And then I'm going to divide it into 1 cup sections and put that in the freezer. So I will have that already ready and labeled in case I want to make pumpkin bread or pumpkin cookies or something like
Empanadas.
that. Empanadas. I think I'm going to have to make some pumpkin empanadas to make Mr. Bruce happy. Papa Bruce. So that's twice now he's mentioned those. Good morning. I'm going to have to update you from yesterday because I didn't get finished. Life happens sometimes and throws us some curveballs. And it did last night, so I didn't get to finish this. But I'm going to show you now because this is beginning to cook down. And at this point, it's still pretty liquid, but you have to just keep stirring it, making sure it doesn't stick on the bottom. And then as you stir it, as that pumpkin gets tender, it turns into like mashed potatoes anyway. Now this one over here, this is the one I'm going to make soup out of. And I have intentionally stirred it more so that it's getting to almost to the consistency of mashed potatoes. So that one's just about like I want it. This one's going to be divided up and put in freezer bags. But this is going to be our supper. Another update I need to show you is yesterday I had put the rest of that pumpkin on 3 dryer trays. So it hasn't been 24 hours yet. We went from 3 dryer trays to 2. And what I do as they get, of course they shrink. And so you can move them back, and then on the really dry ones, I'll put them in a coffee filter. So that, especially because of these little shreddy pieces, I don't want them falling through and losing them. That's still good food. But we're going to put this back over on the dehydrator and finish drying them. But also, now that I have the 3rd tray available, I'm also going to dehydrate some celery. When you have a stalk of celery, you want to cut off the parts that are going to make good sticks for you. You're going to want to cut off the part that has good leaves for you. This is lots of flavor here. And then these are the parts that you don't want to put in your food. There'll be wilted leaves or wilted end pieces. You don't want that in your food. But this isn't going to go to waste either. This can be added to bone broth, and if I had a chicken or something like that that I needed to make some broth with, I would do that right now. You could also make vegetable broth with it, or in my case, I'm just going to put it in the compost pit. So, because I have plenty of other stuff for my broths. So right now, then this is going to go in the compost pit. So today, now that this pumpkin is just about ready where I want it for the soup, we're going to go ahead and we're going to make soup. And so I'm going to put some chicken fat in this skillet and let it get hot. This is chicken fat that I had rendered out. And then I'm going to take some celery parts. These are the parts. I've seen people throw these away, but there's no reason to. That little knuckle part, and then the skinny arms, the skinny parts. Well, this is perfect for soup. I've got half an onion I'm going to chop, and here I've got where I had frozen some chicken broth, so I'm going to put that, go ahead and put that in there. So I'm going to chop these vegetables and then I'm going to saute them in that skillet. Okay, I've got the onions chopped, so we're just going to dump them in that skillet. I've got the celery chopped, it goes in the skillet, and start sauteing. While that's getting warm, it's very wet mashed potato consistency. So let's start thinking about how we're going to season this. And I like a kind of curry oriental flavor, so I'm going to go that way. You could go just plain old American and do salt and pepper and maybe lemon pepper and milk, parsley, herbes de Provence, something like that. But I'm going to go with some garam masala, cumin. I am going to put lemon pepper in it. I'm going to put a touch of cayenne pepper in it. I'm going to put a few threads of saffron in it. And I'm going to put some turmeric in it. The reason I add the turmeric is because it gives it a nice yellow color. So does the saffron. But turmeric is so good for you. It's so anti-inflammatory and has lots of other benefits like that. So I put turmeric in as many dishes as I can, because I just feel like, as anti-inflammatory as it is, it's got to be good for you. And then of course salt and pepper. So I'm going to I just sprinkle to my heart's desire. Doesn't take much saffron, but oh, it makes such a difference.
What was that?
That was turmeric. I probably got about a half a teaspoon of turmeric in it. Curry powder. I'll just give it a good shake. A little bit of lemon pepper. About a teaspoon of lemon pepper. The garam masala, maybe a half a teaspoon. Just a touch of the cayenne. Doesn't take a lot of that. And then a good amount of cumin.
How much is a good amount?
I would say a good amount is a good teaspoonful. There's our soup with all the spices and the onions and celery. And now the final thing is to add some milk. And I like the extra richness of the whipping cream. So we're just going to make this as thin as you want it now. You could also use a can of coconut milk. That really makes it good and gives it more of that oriental flavor. And we're just going to put a glug of this, maybe a shot glass. And that's all there is to it. Now, a lot of people do use an immersion blender at this point and blend that all up. It just depends on if you like it chunky or if you want it completely smooth. But we're going to taste this. I'm going to mention one of my kitchen rules again is I dip with a big spoon, taste with a small spoon, so you never get confused which one has been contaminated. There you go, darling. Tell me if I need anything.
Oh, I'm contaminated, huh?
Be nice to me. You keep hollering pumpkin empanadas.
It needs something.
Okay. He says it needs something. I'm going to taste of it too and see what I think.
A little bit of sweetness.
A little bit of sweetness would be good. So we are going to, we could put a little bit of honey in it. What do you think?
Sure. Couldn't be better.
A little bit of sweetness wouldn't hurt at all. Oh, I've got to tell you something else. We have been using this little syrup. It was a pancake syrup jar for years now to keep our honey in. And then the little lid broke off at the hinge. So we had to be careful with that. And also, we'll just put a glob of honey in it. We'll see how this does. I think the reason why Bruce said he wanted a little sweetness in it is because one time, this was just an old field pumpkin, but one time we had one of those sugar pie pumpkins, and I made pumpkin soup out of it, and of course it has natural sweetness to it, and I think that's what he's remembering the flavor of. Oh yeah. I think that's an added enhancement.
Mm-hmm. That's
Yeah.
it.
That's what he wanted. Okay, now I'm going to finish my story about this honey jar. The other day, S.A. owns Family Gardens put a video on with a woman who was doing a demonstration of some of these lids. I'm sorry, S.A. owns, I wasn't planning on doing this, so I don't remember the lady's name. But she was doing a demonstration of these Eve, I guess it's called, lids. And as soon as I saw her doing that, I'm going, that's what I need for our honey. Because, and so anyway, I ordered them. They came yesterday. I haven't even had a chance to wash them yet. But what sold us on it was this snapping lid. Completely drip proof. So I told Bruce we need some of those for our honey jar. And what I'm going to do is fix us up a pint. It's a wide mouth lid. Fix us up a wide mouth pint, pour our honey in it, and then we will have a locking lid where we can just lift that up and pour our honey. Because Bruce likes honey in his oatmeal, sometimes in his hot tea, sometimes even in his coffee. Huh?
Peanut butter and crackers.
He eats peanut butter and crackers all the time, and he likes to put his honey on that too. But so I ordered these, they came in, and I'm thrilled. And then as honey gets older, sometimes it crystallizes. You can see where this has crystallized before. And we put it in a pan of hot water and heat it up again because it didn't go bad, it just crystallized. So you can heat it up and liquefy it again. But of course, heating up something in a plastic jar is not wonderful. But now with our canning jars and this lid, we can heat up that honey as often as we want to. So thank you, S.A. Owens, for that good video, sharing that good video. And ma'am, whoever did that video, I thank you. because it was very informative and we liked it. Okay. So since we have fixed the problem of the sweetness, and we are not going to use an immersion blender. I kind of like the crunchy textures of the onions and celery. I'm going to dish some up and let you see what it looks like. There it is. Again, if you want it smooth, just use your immersion blender. And now some people garnish this. You can put bacon sprinkles on it. You can put cheese on it. We don't, but we have done the bacon sprinkles. You can put ground up peanuts on it, or any kind of ground nuts. And it just adds a little bit of richness to it. But this is good, and I hope you try it. I've showed you complete processing of the pumpkin, 4-month-old pumpkin. So pumpkin is the perfect homesteader prepping produce. You can get a big old pumpkin, keep it for 4 months without any work at all, and then so many different things to do with it. I've showed you how to dry it. I've showed you how to do celery. And I just hope that this has been informative on a lot of levels for you. And so, as I always end, this has been Granny B's recipe. Take it and make it your own. Thank you.